really know if these count as hot takes. These are like almost anti-hot takes, which is kind of funny, but hello, my name is Bonnie and this is my channel, A Knitter Obsessed. This is my knitting podcast where I come to talk about all things knitting currently going on in my life. Typically, that takes the form of your standard knitting podcast episodes where I talk about my projects and my whips, my acquisitions. However, today I thought it would be fun to go through some of my knitting hot takes. So we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to go through my, possibly spicy opinions, possibly unpopular opinions, just some thoughts and opinions and my feelings about knitting that I've acquired over my many years of knitting, but particularly as I've gotten more involved in the knitting community, and So I just want to caveat this, first of all, by saying this is just for fun. These are entirely my own opinion. They do not mean anything about, if you like something that I say I don't like, or vice versa. It doesn't mean one or the other is better or worse. It is 100% just an opinion. And for a lot of them, I'm going to caveat the heck out of my opinion. I'm not just going to come in and say this is bad, because that's honestly not how I feel, and I'll probably give you the full context just so I don't come off as a, crazy and judgmental person. So just keep that in mind. If we don't agree, this is just for fun. Hell, tell me why you don't agree down in the comments. I would love to hear it. We can have a fun conversation about it. So that would be fantastic. I'd love to do that with you guys. Second, I have one of my dogs just off camera right here, and she doesn't want to leave, but she can also sometimes get a little noisy. So if I have to cut the footage a little bit and things seem a little choppy because of that, it's probably because my little Raina here got a little riled up and made me have to do some editing to deal with it. Or if you hear her in the background a little bit, I do apologize. I'll try and keep it to a minimum, but she's just too cute and I really don't want to kick her out. So with that being said, I have 10 unpopular opinions to get through. I'm going to try and get through them fairly quickly, just so this video doesn't go on too long. And yeah, it should be some fun. And then real quick, before we totally dive into it, just if you're curious what I'm wearing, this is my sweater number 14 V-neck, which is a pattern by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I knit this out of Noro Rika in the colorway 10. If you want any more information on this project, I will link the Ravelry page with all my project notes on it down below, so you can check that out if you're interested. Knitting hot take number 1. I do not understand people's hatred of mohair. And so this is interesting. My hot take is basically a reaction to other people's hot take. It's not really that I'm having an opinion on mohair at all in this. I'll explain. So personally, I like mohair. I like knitting projects where you hold a mohair, with a fingering or another yarn. And I like taking projects that call for that yarn combination and substituting in just a thicker strand of yarn with no mohair. I do it both ways. So my hot take is I don't understand the mohair hate, because you can always just adapt a project to not use mohair. So there's a lot of people who like to say, too many projects have mohair in them. Mohair is everywhere. Why does everything have mohair in it? And that is what I don't understand, because it's so easy to just take the mohair out and replace it with another yarn. And you can get you'll get a different, result, obviously, but you'll still get a great result. You'll still get a sweater that fits great and is, everything that you want it to be without the mohair. For example, my sweater number 14, this is a pattern that calls for 1 strand of fingering weight yarn and 2 strands of mohair to get a bulky weight. And I just knit it with a bulky weight yarn and I absolutely love it. Is it different than the pattern called for? Absolutely, 100%. But if you didn't want mohair in your project anyways, the difference in your project is just that it doesn't have the mohair in it. So it's the difference that you wanted. So that's my hot take. My hot take is I don't understand this hot take from other people. It's a little funny to me. And I get that it's just a pet peeve that you don't like seeing the mohair and everything. But in my opinion, we have so many pattern options because of this, and you can pick and choose which ones you want and knit them in the yarn you want. And that is what I love so much about this hobby, is that it is so customizable. And it's fantastic. All right, hot take number 2. It's almost the same one, but I don't understand particular yarn hatred across the board. So the mohair one is more of a commentary on people being upset that that's what's in patterns all the time. But I also see a lot whenever people do like hot take videos or unpopular opinion videos where they talk about like their hatred of acrylic yarn or their hatred of scratchy wools or, you know, their hatred of expensive yarns, that yarn is too expensive and they don't get why people only knit with expensive yarn, or their hatred of cheap yarns. They don't understand why people are knitting with these cheap yarns. Across the board, people have strong opinions on types of yarn and yarn qualities and yarn, you know, fiber types and all of that. And this is another one, I just don't really understand the strong opinions. I feel like all different types of fibers, whether they're acrylic or alpaca or wool or anything, have their place and have projects and uses that they are most suited for and have people that they are most suited for. There are some people who have wool allergies, and the synthetic fibers are perfect for that. Plant fibers are perfect for that. You know, there are reasons that they might not like wool. Their cost is also a valid concern, and if, you know, cheaper yarns let you partake in the craft, that's amazing. I'm super happy about that. Like, there's no judgment. And same with if you happen to have the money and you want to splurge on some fancy hand-dyed, you know, indie-dyed yarn, that's also great. Go support those, you know, small dyers, go support those small businesses if you can. And that's also a great way to take part in the craft. In general, it's just having a strong opinion on these kinds of questions is in itself slightly confusing to me. I don't really know if these count as hot takes. These are like almost anti-hot takes, which is kind of funny, but either way. All right, hot take number 3. This is such a minor detail. I really don't like the look of a sewn bind off for 2x2 rib. So again, this is very specific. And if you disagree with me, it is such a minor detail. Like, no one but a knitter is ever going to even notice this detail. And it is very much so an opinion I have for my own items, not on anybody else's. So again, this is for fun. But sewn bind offs, you typically do them for 1x1 ribbed patterns, and I do really like them for those projects. I really like the elasticity of a sewn bind off. I really like the look of it. And really for me, it comes down to that elasticity. I just feel like they have really great tension and they give a really nice finish tension-wise to the ends of things, which makes it worth the little extra effort to do a sewn bind off for me. It's almost less about the looks for me. However, when you do it for a 2x2 rib, I've never actually done the sewn bind off for a 2x2 rib because I don't like the look of it, but the way I understand it is that you rearrange the stitches to make it into a 1x1 rib, and then you do a sewn bind off from there as you go. And to me, it looks so odd because I can see the rearranged stitches, and it's not a very clean finish to me, and you're putting in so much extra work to do the sewn bind off that I don't think it's worth it for the finish that you're getting. So that's my hot take. When I have a 2x2 rib, I just do a long tail bind off like this in pattern. So this is, you know, knits and purls on a long tail bind off, and I think it comes out really nice, and that is my preferred method. All right, hot take number 4. And this one is very particular to my body type. This actually isn't really about knitting too much, but I will never knit a pattern with a really shallow V-neck. So if I'm going to knit a V-neck, it needs to be a fairly deep V-neck. And that is just because of the way they fit my body. I don't look good in a shallow V-neck. They are very uncomfortable to me. They make me feel more claustrophobic than like a regular crew neck for some reason, which I can't explain. It makes no sense. And I only consider this a hot take because there's so many patterns out there that I want to knit so bad because I think the sweaters are gorgeous, but I will never ever knit them because of the V-neck on them. And one day I'm going to figure out how to just like adjust this, and so that way I can adjust it on patterns, but I'm just not that good with my knitting math yet. But I mean, there's some patterns out there like the Paul sweater by, I think it's Marika Knits, has a really shallow V-neck and it's a gorgeous sweater and I'd love to knit it, but I know that I never will because I can't handle them. They make me feel really uncomfortable. Hot take number 5. I have no desire to have every single one of my sweaters that I own have massive amounts of positive ease. And I feel like that is the trend, is that most patterns have tons and tons of positive ease right now. I'm not saying that I don't like a sweater with a lot of positive ease. I mean, look at the one I'm wearing right now. This has like maybe 15 inches of positive ease. It's massive on me and I love it and I've been wearing it like crazy. But I also find the sweater to be a little cumbersome sometimes. I can't roll the sleeves up very well. It can't go under jackets very well. It's very big. It's very bulky. It gets in the way. And that is not what I always want. I really like to have a variety of sizes in my sweaters, but I really, really like a nice slim fitting sweater that kind of just, it's not necessarily negative ease, but it's maybe like zero ease and just kind of skims down the body and just fits nice and close to you. That is honestly my preferred fit for most of the things that I wear. And I have to end up looking for knitting patterns that have that or slightly adjusting knitting patterns to have that. And it's just, my hot take is that I don't always want all the positive ease. I sometimes think that 10 inches of positive ease is too much. I think we're getting away from, like, you know, I think we're getting out of hand here a little bit with the positive ease. We can rein it in. That being said, this is very similar to the mohair argument I had for number 1. You can just adjust it. Knitting projects are very adaptable that way. So I guess I guess that's why it's called a hot take. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a reasonable take, right? Number 6. I don't necessarily want to fix all of the mistakes that I make in my projects. If it is egregious, like if you look at it and go, oh no, that's horrible, obviously I'll go back and fix it. Like one time I put an entire increase row into a raglan in a spot where it shouldn't be, like in like the back of the middle of the back of the sweater. I just like miscounted. Obviously I ripped that one out and started over because there's a whole seam where there shouldn't be a seam and like a whole bunch of extra stitches in the project, and it was like fundamentally wrong. So obviously I'll go back and fix things like that. But one of the sweaters I'm knitting right now has a massive hole in it where I like dropped a stitch and just sort of like picked it up later. I'm not gonna rip back and fix that in any real way. I might go back later and kind of sew the hole closed, but I'm not gonna stop what I'm doing and go back and fix it. If I find I have too many stitches somewhere, I just knit 2 together kind of willy-nilly and fix it. If I find I don't have enough, I just sort of make one left somewhere or knit back front somewhere and call it good. If I do a round where my pattern gets a little messed up and it's not like horrifically awful, I'll leave it in there. And it's almost fun. It's like a little Easter egg for me. Like I know where the flaw is and like I'll see if I can find it. And I don't know, it's honestly kind of fun for me. Like I like having some flaws in the things that I make. I feel like they give them character. I feel like I have a little bit of backstory now for myself for the project, and I like leaving them in there. And yeah, that's my hot take. I will never be someone who's going for like pristine, perfect, like could have been machine made in my hand knits, and not because there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not my personality. All right, number 7. Number 7's a truly spicy one, but I stand by it, at least for me. I don't understand project bags. I feel like this one's like, I feel like project bag collecting is a hobby separate from knitting, and the project bag collectors out there are going to come for me in the comments, and I'm scared. Not that you guys aren't lovely people. I just, I know what it feels like when people say negative things about my hobbies, and I would come for them in the comments. Please don't hate me. But project bags for me, it's not that I don't get them. I think they're beautiful. I think they're gorgeous. I think I'm not organized enough to make use of them, and I'm aware of that. So I use tote bags when I need to take my knitting around somewhere, and I personally don't really think that tote bags count. And my only reason I say that is because I once said to a friend that tote bags are not something that you go out and purchase. Tote bags are something that happens to you, whether you want it to or not. And I said that to her, and 20 minutes later someone gave me a free tote bag, so like it was immediately proven. And I only use the tote bags if I'm going like to a coffee shop. Like if I right at that moment need to transport my knitting, I will take the project that I want, put it in a tote bag, and then walk out with it. When I come home, I tend to take it out of the tote bag and it doesn't necessarily go back away in there. I have baskets throughout my house that I will just kind of throw knitting projects into when I need to get them out of the way. But a good chunk of the time, my knitting projects just sort of end up on the ground next to the couch or like on my dresser next to my bed, or they're just sort of everywhere. And my problem is I am not organized enough to put the projects back in the bags. I am not organized enough to keep my projects separated, to keep them in nice and tidy locations. And so because of that, I don't get the point of the project bags. I would rather spend the money I would spend on that really nice project bag on yarn or patterns or like knitting accessories that I'll get more use out of. But again, that's a me thing. They don't make sense to me because I won't use them, and it's just a pretty bag that will sit in a corner. All right, the next three are pattern type specific, and they're all, I have reasons for the way I feel about all of them, so just hang tight if you're like, what? When I first say them, but I will explain. All right, so number 8. I do not understand hoods. I will probably never knit a hood. So these have been gaining in popularity the last year or two. And so basically like a hood or a balaclava, like anything that goes over your head and around your neck. I don't see myself ever making one, and I don't actually really get the appeal. I think they look so cute on people. So that's my caveat. On other people, they look really stylish and really cute, and I can see how they'd keep you so warm if you live in like a very, very cold place. Like I do get why people knit them, don't get me wrong. However, I have a lot of hair. I have a lot of hair, and I have never really understood how to cope with my hair in the winter specifically. It tends to get fluffier in the winter. It tends to get quite frizzy, which it's not a bad thing, but I end up with a like large volume of hair in the winter to cope with, especially if it's raining or wet outside in any way. And I don't even like to use hoods on like jackets or sweatshirts or anything because of that. So basically in the winter, if I want to wear my hair up at all, I tend to wear my hair up a lot in the winter because, like I said, it's sort of big and in my face and just a lot. And so I like to wear it up. And when you wear something up, when you wear your hair up, you really can't wear any kind of hood, whether it's a knitted separate hood or like a hood on a sweatshirt. And then if I wear my hair down, I tend to not know what to do with it, like how to tuck it in. And I tend to just feel very itchy, like having all my hair like pushed onto my neck makes me feel very, very itchy and uncomfortable. And a hood would not only like at least with a sweatshirt, I can kind of like, I don't know, pull it off to the side or something. Like there's like ways around it. I just feel like with a hood, with the like cowl aspect of it, it would push down even more on my hair and it would make it worse. And that's just my take. And again, this is so specific to me and my own hair problems. I feel like I'd end up with like all my hair in my face, and like it just would really flatten out my curls. Like I feel like the wool would really pull on my curls a lot if I was taking the hood on and off. So yeah, for me, hoods are a no-go. Love them on other people, but I don't think I'll ever knit one. All right, number 9. I will never ever knit like a knitted bra, ever. This is another very specific to my body problem. I've got some curves. I'm about a double D cup. So there's some fullness here. There's some logistics to things that have to go over my boobs. And I don't think I ever would have a place in my wardrobe where a knitted bra or knitted bralette, knitted, anything of that type would be used by me in any way. I could see it like underneath another shirt, like that maybe had like looser armholes or something and kind of showed it off, but that's not really within my style either. And so it's just not something I would ever use. And they just sort of make me laugh a little bit because of those aspects of my own figure. Like they're just so tiny and dainty and adorable, and I'm just like, no, they're not going to do the job. They can't. They cannot be trusted. They will never work. So those ones they make me laugh a little bit because they just seem so incredibly impractical to me. Really cute on other people. Again, for people who can pull this off and who have a place for them and who can utilize them, they're so cute and they seem like such fun, fast, quick projects, and there are a lot of really cool designs out there, but they are like comical to me and I will never make one. All right, hot take number 10. This is the last one. I will never knit like a pair of shorts or like a skirt, like something that I'm going to be like sitting on all of the time. And this is another one. They're so cute. I like when other people knit shorts. I think they look really comfy. all of that, I don't know why they don't appeal to me. I just feel like I would have a hard time letting myself relax and just like lounge in something like that. I'm not a big skirt wearer as it is, but I would just feel so like worried about my skirt if I knit one. I don't know. I just feel like I wouldn't be able to relax. It's taken me a really long time to like get comfortable wearing my sweaters and everything and not worry about them and like let myself live in them. And I've gotten a lot better at it. And I tend to just think of my sweaters as, you know, they're just a part of my wardrobe now and I just wear them. And for some reason, I just can't get over that mental block for like lower body garments. This one I can't explain. This one's really random and I don't really have a reason for it. And again, I think they look amazing on other people. I really am envious of people who can knit a skirt and pull it off in style and look super cute in it and comfortable in it. I just don't think it's ever going to be me. They confuse me. Knitted pants are another one. You know, anything just on your lower body. Not in the cards for me. Don't think I'm going to do it. But that's okay. That's why there's a lot of projects out there, a lot of patterns. And I think having a few that you don't want to knit is actually very helpful because there's already too many that I want to knit to the point where as of right now, I'll never ever finish my like knitting wish list of patterns that I want to knit. And I'm only in my 30s and I've already made that list too long. Like, it's okay that there are some categories that don't make the list, and honestly, I think it's probably just kind of helpful. So, all right, so those were all of my knitting hot takes. I, again, would love to hear yours. I think this would be a very fun conversation down below. What did you agree with? What did you not agree with? If there are any that you like have questions about, if you think I might have a hot take on it, put those down in below. I'll either answer in the comments or I might do like a follow-up episode on this because I think this is really fun and I love watching these types of episodes. And then before I go, I did just want to say a couple of things. And so this is not knitting related and it's going to get a little bit more serious. So if you're not wanting that right now, I understand. I would, you know, leave the video right now. It was great having you here. It was so much fun. Thank you for sitting down with me. But for those of you who want to stay, I'm filming this about a week after the US presidential election, and I've never made anything on my channel political before. This didn't feel like the right place for it. This is a kind of an escapist place, my hobby, you know. And I'm not going to make this really political either, so don't panic. I'm not coming in here with any crazy speech or anything like that. But this week's been pretty hard for me, for a lot of people I know, and I think for a lot of people around the world, you know, around the country for sure, if you're in the States. And so it just felt really insincere to say nothing. And so I just want you to know, if you're struggling right now, I am too. This is not the way I wanted things to go. I'm pretty worried for some, you know, people that I know, for some communities that I'm a part of, or I know people who are a part of, and it's a really uncertain time for a lot of us right now. And so if that's you, just know I'm here for you. I would love this channel to continue to be a safe place for you to come and unwind or distract yourself and just take part in a really, really amazing community. And that's the other thing I wanted to say is, whatever your political views are, whatever they are, the knitting community, the crafting community, especially since I've gotten more involved in it, has consistently been one of the most welcoming and loving and understanding and just warm places and group of people that I have ever met. I love this community. I think knitters in general just have like a very unique brand of love and excitement, and it's a true community, and we're all here for each other regardless of whatever else is going on in the world, and that is amazing, and that is what I wanted to come on to talk about. I just wanted to say that I'm really thankful for the people I've met through this, for the people I'm still meeting, for the support we've all given each other. It's pretty amazing, and it's, you know, I don't take it for granted. It is a great place to be able to come back to be able to sit down and talk to you guys and, you know, get away from whatever might be stressing you out in the world at the moment. So I want to keep growing that. I want us to continue to be here for each other and, you know, I want this to continue to be a place where we can all come together and talk about our love of yarn and knitting and all of those things. So this has been great. I'm sorry to leave on kind of a weird note, but like I said, it felt insincere to say nothing, and I've been kind of brainstorming over the last week exactly how I wanted to approach this, and so that's where it's at. Don't worry, either side of the spectrum. This isn't going to become like a political channel or anything. I just don't feel like it's the place for it, and I just feel like I want to leave this as a place where you can come and get a break from those issues. So with that being said, I should be back next time with a regular podcast update and talk about all my actual projects and stuff, but this has been a ton of fun. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say in the comments. And with that being said, I hope you have a great day. I hope you get some knitting in, and I will see you next time. Bye.